Welcome to the green room. Bark, bark, bark. Today, we are going to be talking about our emotional support animals. So this is our last episode of the year. So we thought it would be really fun to do something a little bit more light and with our amazing furry animals. So yes, welcome to the green room. I'll kick it off to Hannah as usual to do her fun little intros.
Thank you, Jenna. Welcome to the green room. I am Hannah Babbitt, and this is Gigi. We're going to start with Jenna Andrews, the founder of the green room and recently announced 2020 Variety Hitmaker. Jenna is a platinum singer, songwriter, vocal producer, and executive producers for artists such as BTS, Benny, Noah Cyrus, J-Lo, Little Mix, and Drake, just to name a few. Jenna also A&Rs Noah Cyrus and Len and Stella at Records, and is the co-owner of 27 Music Publishing with Barry Weiss and Sony ATV. Welcome, Jenna, Larry David, and George Costanza.
Yay! Hold on, Larry has to say hi. Hold on. You're wearing kind of green colors.
Next up, we have Salem Elise. Salem is a 21-year-old American singer and songwriter that recently bursted onto the music scene with her viral hit, Mad at Disney. Mad at Disney has gained over 100 million streams on Spotify alone and was featured by more than 3 million users on TikTok over the past few months. On November 17th, Salem released her follow-up single, Coke and Mentos, which is available now on all platforms. Welcome, Salem and Bowie.
Thank you. Hi, guys. This is Bowie.
Oh my God. Hi, Bowie.
He's so curious. Oh.
You realize that George and Bowie kind of look similar, right?
They really do. Yeah, they would get along super well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Dr. Tyla Charbonneau, who is a registered psychologist and runs a private practice in Fernie, British Columbia, and is a seasonal instructor at the University of Calgary. She is an avid animal lover and is working to incorporate her 2 Bernese mountain dogs into her therapy practice. Welcome, Tyla, Salix, and McConkey.
I think I might be able to get McConkey now. He's not having it. He's like, no, that's not happening. Yeah.
Oh God, this is so great, you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. I love that we have our little furry animals. They do so much for well, they've like completely changed my life. It's so, so when I know Hannah and I were talking about doing this episode, and I just loved it and then also it's funny because I recently worked with Salem and we were talking about how we love our dogs so much, and she was like, I just got Bowie, and talking about like, were you talking about like crate training and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, I have the crate right next to me in case he wants to hop off.
And I just think that it's like, I know, speaking for my own self, oh my gosh, my earring fell out, that basically with my first dog, Larry, it was like, she completely made me feel like, I don't know, I just think that it like makes your energy feel calmer. And like, I don't know about you guys, before Corona times, back when we actually saw people, I used to bring Larry to all my sessions. So it was just like so cool, because I think that it's such a it's a cool icebreaker for people when you bring your dogs, because I think that like for people when it makes people feel less intimidated, or just like, I don't know, there's something so nice about that energy, and also just what they can bring to you in terms of like your own comfort levels and like helping you decrease your anxiety and all that stuff. Tyla, that's so interesting that you're looking to incorporate this into your practice. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so like it's really interesting because I think when we look at animals, I agree with absolutely everything that you said, that in terms of like, especially right now, they bring this social connection to you, they help you feel loved, they reduce anxiety, they actually like make oxytocin, the hormone that's like that love hormone, go in your body, which is really cool. And all animals do that. I want to qualify that it's not just dogs. But it's something for me. I've always loved dogs. I've always seen the benefits. I love when you walk around with dogs and people's eyes light up and want to say hi and get snuggles. And so for me, something that I've always wanted to do is incorporate animals into my practice. It's been a bit tricky this year because I haven't been able to do the training that I wanted to do because I'm up in Canada and we don't have the training program. It's actually in Texas and I couldn't go. So they do show up in session and they are around. And I have people tell me all the time, like, I'm not here to see you. I'm here to see the dog. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, if that's what gets you here, that's great. But they really do make a big difference in people's lives. And I think there's so many different ways that animals can be helpful to us, from emotional service dogs all the way up to service dogs and all the different training in between. We really should recognize them for what they do far more than we currently do.
That's so cool. I mean, Salem, how has it helped your life? Like, why did you decide to get a dog? Like, all the questions.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's so funny because my life has changed a lot in quarantine in many different ways, with Matt at Disney and everything, and just all the amazing people I've had the pleasure of meeting, including you guys. But I would
Aw.
say the way it's changed the most is definitely getting a dog. Um, I grew up around dogs. My dad, when I was a kid, we would like drive around town and literally stop a block before we saw a dog and then pretend like we were just catching on the street so I could pet the dog. We would do that for hours and hours when I was young. So I was just like raised as a dog person. And so I got Bowie. He's a Coton de Tulier. And I picked that breed because, one, my boyfriend is very allergic to dogs. And my mom is also really allergic. And we grew up with a Coton. It was like the only breed that she could tolerate. And it didn't bother her allergies. So unfortunately, my childhood dog, Chadley, passed away
Oh,
almost exactly a year ago, over Christmas time last year. And it was the hardest thing ever for my whole family. And yeah, I felt like the time was right in quarantine to get Bo. And it's just been so, like, the responsibility is, you know, a lot. And I definitely, both of us were kind of taken back. We're like, wow, this is really like having a child. Because I was so young when I got Chadley, my first dog. I was like 8 years old, I think, that I didn't really remember what it takes to raise a puppy. And then we got Bowie and we were like, wow, we're not sleeping. But it's been so incredible.
oh my God, that's so true. Actually, it's it's so hard because I think for dog lovers, it's like you just want to like rescue as many dogs as possible. So I'm like, I want another dog. But it is true. Like, puppies are very difficult. It's like, it's like having a baby. I mean, you forget all of the times you have to wake up when they like pee in the bed or like
Oh,
various
yeah.
things, right? It's like when I first got Larry, I just like could not help wanting her to sleep with me every night. And then it's like having her either like pee or poop in the bed and having to wake up and be like, oh God, it's like, what is that smell? But it just makes it so, but it's like, but honestly, I understand what people must feel like. Look at, I'm trying to like make them not run away from me. What people must feel like having babies, because it's just like the joy that you get from it makes all of it worth it, doesn't it? It's just like,
Oh, definitely.
great.
Yeah. The best part of my day is, hanging out with Bowie. I also never need to set an alarm because he wakes me up with like the sweetest cries at 6:30 a.m. every day. But I'm like happy to get up. He genuinely is the reason I get out of bed. So yeah, it's great.
Me too. And I don't know, do you feel like if you're having like a bad day, or if you're like, um, just like going through something, do you feel like they pick up the energy? Really? Like, I feel like for me, I feel it.
Definitely. I think they understand crying. Every time I'm crying, Bowie, if he's really hyper, he immediately calms down, runs over to me, and just starts like, being sweet and licking my face, being really calm. It's incredible. I think they're so intuitive.
I know it's so, yeah. Tyla, what do you think about that?
Oh, for sure. I was just going to add in that we always joke in our house that we don't need weighted blankets because we have 120-pound dogs that, like, sorry, I should have done that while you were drinking, Salem. We don't
That's
need
awesome.
weighted blankets. I know that, like, I find in my profession, I hear a lot of really difficult stories. And so like twice a year, I just have this full on like cry. It's kind of like I just get all the stories out and the dogs just come and they will fully lie on top of me, and they're each over 100 pounds. So, and the feeling that you get from that is just so amazing. And they just snuggle their giant heads right in. And if I don't know if you're interested in the science, but I can kind of give you a bit of an basically what,
Yeah, I would love
yeah,
that.
it's kind of neat because what's happening right now in the world is we're walking around perceiving threat everywhere because things are really uncertain. things are really polarized. There's a lot of things that our brains are like, this doesn't feel right. So we're perceiving threat everywhere when there really isn't any. And what happens when we perceive threat is that we go into like a fight or flight response. So we're walking through life all the time doing that. If you have anxiety or you've been through trauma, that's even worse. The best way to snap out of that threat response is reminding yourself that you're safe and getting into a relaxed body. Where animals come in is that as soon as you start petting an animal, you bring yourself into the moment. So that gets you out of that anxiety response of all the bad things that are going to happen. It brings you right into the moment, and it actually lowers your blood pressure. So, and it can be a cat or a dog or an alligator, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're petting, it actually lowers your blood pressure, which gets you out of feeling like there's a fear response and something bad is going to happen. And so when you're crying and they lie on you, they're telling you that they love you, which is important, but they're also like getting your autonomic nervous system to regulate. And I think that's so cool.
That's awesome.
Wait, that is actually so that makes so much sense. And that because I feel like for me, there's been so many times where like I feel like so wound up after the end of the day, or I feel like super anxious or whatever, and I have like the urge to just like cuddle one of my dogs, and it immediately like does that. I mean, I figured there's some sort of like some response, obviously, because it feels it's so comforting. I didn't know that was actually like a scientific thing though. That's pretty cool.
It's interrupting a threat response through releasing oxytocin, which is that good love hormone, but it's also asking your body to relax, which is what gets you out of that. And I want to just clarify that sometimes when we think about threat, we think about like active shooters or things like that. But threats can also be like when you're having a moment of like, I don't feel very good in this moment. I'm not enough. I don't know if people like me. I'm worried about what people think. Those are also threat responses, and petting your animals will release you out of that as well. So just to clarify that threat responses are anything from like real danger to the things that our brains convince us. Like that person doesn't like me, or I made a mistake, those kinds of things. Because I think we have to acknowledge that those are threats as well, and animals will help us with that really easily.
Tyla, similar to you, it takes a while, but I build up frustration. And when I hit that cap of I'm so frustrated, I break down crying. Only happens a couple times a year, but it's just simmering, and then it's an explosion pretty much. And Gigi, we're 9 years strong together. She won't stop barking at me if I'm crying. And it takes me out of it. I think what she used to do, if I'm recalling correctly, she would lay on me and she would kiss my face. Now it's barking, looking me straight in the eye and barking, like snap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
That's so cool.
So, I mean, yeah, I was just thinking like one of the reasons of bringing my dog or bringing Larry to my sessions would be for that exact thing. Like, you know, sessions, especially like blind sessions, when it does feel like it's not like you said, it's not like, you know, it's like almost like you create the threat within your own brain where you're like, do they like me? Is this going to be good? Is that idea good? Like, do I suck? Like, you know, all these things that go through your head in a session. But I think when you have your dog, it's just like this it's like they're protecting you almost, like your energy, your aura. So I think it's like reminding you like, okay, taking you down like a level, checking your ego, being like, okay, you know what, there's something very selfless and like about that kind of love that you have with the animal. So I think it kind of makes you feel like less aware of your own insecurities, if that makes sense. And that's, I feel like having Larry in those sessions in certain circumstances, especially like the ones where I think, I don't know, we've all been in places where like people take themselves a little too seriously, you know? And so, and I think that those people, and specifically, I think that's always a very interesting social experiment, because those people particularly, even watching them and the way they react to having an animal in the room is really interesting. Even if they're not an animal person, I definitely think it takes some of that ego factor away, you know?
Yeah.
And it's an icebreaker, right? Like if in uncomfortable situations, if you have a pet there, people will all come together around it, and it gives you something to talk about and break up any tension.
Yeah, no, and I think that it's even if a person hasn't liked animals in the past, I feel like even in that sense, they like there's like a conversation starter. And I think in that sense, the dog is just like for so many various reasons. Even just that alone is like a cool emotional support mechanism, isn't it? Because it's like, I think it helps you as a human being, or be able to like figure out your own problems or anxieties or ways to deal with certain situations that you may not have had if you didn't bring your animal with you. So it's like some of these things, they just help you navigate without even necessarily knowing that that's the reason that, you know, you're navigating the situation in that sense. But I find it so, and like you said, actually such a good example when you're just like walking your dog or going to the dog park. It's like, there's this like camaraderie that is just natural within people. It's so funny, the dog park thing, right?
Yeah. It's like a whole dance.
I know. I mean, do you guys go, Salem, do you guys have like a dog park you guys go to?
There are a few around here. We haven't taken Bowie as much as we would have, you know, under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
But he's pretty shy because he's, you know, a quarantine dog. He hasn't been able to be like properly socialized. So we do take him to daycare like once or twice a week just to make sure he's like around puppies. But it's so funny in the mornings because I never thought there'd be so many people awake at 6:30, but every time I walk my dog around my neighborhood, there's like 15 other people with dogs doing the morning circle. So he's kind of like making friends there. And like, you know, I'm getting to know the people on my block. I've lived here for over a year now and I've never met anyone else around me. And now I know a bunch of people because we all have dogs and our dogs are friends. It's a great
Well,
little sense of community.
by the way, that's so interesting, because I feel like a lot of people like can make friends by having a dog, right? It's like, oh my God, your
Yeah.
dog's cute. Oh my God, where'd you get? And then it's all of a sudden like, where are you from? What do you do? Oh, all of a sudden you're friends. Like, that's so
As long
cool.
as the dogs get along.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was about to say, it's so funny that you say you didn't think people got up at 6:30. It's because we're in the music industry. Music people do not get up at 6:30.
Exactly. Work starts at 1.
I know, I'm like, we are all sleeping till 1. Regular people do get up. Not regular, but like people that do, you know, jobs that are not music, because
Yeah.
we are not early risers as musicians. But no, I actually wanted to, that just made me think. I don't know if you guys saw, or I think Hannah might have sent this to me, or somebody is that you did, right? About the
Yes.
planes. Yeah, that's so crazy. So Tyla, I don't know if you saw that, but they're banning emotional support animals from planes now.
No.
I actually just saw that this morning. Like that's like just a couple days old, that article.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious what you guys think of that.
That makes me very, very upset. Planes are my biggest fear. I like can't go on planes. So I was so excited to be able to bring Bowie and just like pet him the whole time. Now I'm just gonna have
Oh,
to somehow pass out.
well, wait a second. So is this actually like finalized, or is this something that they're still like, is it completely like a wrap? Like, is that you're not?
I don't think it's happened yet, but I think it's going to happen. I mean, my personal opinion is they're going to have to find a way, because I think a lot of people have taken advantage of the emotional support animal aspect in an effort to not pay.
Right.
But a lot of people, including myself, I need my dog on that flight. Do I need her on my lap? No, I just need to have her present because I get really bad anxiety traveling.
Right. That's how I feel too. I mean, are they saying that you can't have pets in cabin at all, or just not emotional support animals?
You can have pets, you have to pay, and they'd have to stay in the carrier under the seat.
Okay, because putting them under the actual, where the luggage, to me that is so cruel, and like it makes my stomach turn. I mean, to me, it's. I look at dogs like I look at humans. I feel like
They're the
I don't.
same. They're people. Yeah.
They're people, exactly, and I'm just like, how are you doing that? It's so cold, and there's been dogs that have died, you know, and it's just not. It's just cruelty. It's not. That has to not be a thing.
I think I think you guys are right. It's one of the tricky things about what's happened lately is there are people, unfortunately, who are taking advantage of the system. Sorry, that's the thing of having dogs, they knock tables. There are people who are taking advantage of the system, and like if you go online and you see all the like emotional support animal registries that are not actually real, one of the things that I did want to say is like to be really leery of that, because what happens is if you sign your dog up and you get this paper but you're not actually I looked this morning because in Canada, to be an emotional support dog, you have to have a letter from a psychologist, psychiatrist, or physician. And it looks like it's the same in the States. Is that?
Yeah, same.
And for me, when I've been asked to do that for people, one of the things that I recommend is like, because I fully support emotional support dogs, I like to meet the dog first, but I also recommend to people that like, sorry, McConkey wants to say stuff too. He's
oh my God, let him say something.
I don't know if he'll do it, but he's like, it might stop now.
Hi, buddy.
He's what I say to people is like one way you can look at doing, if it does become a thing where emotional service animals are not allowed to fly anymore, therapy dogs still are, and it doesn't take a lot to actually go take a therapy dog training with your dog. And that's something that I recommend, because I do actually think that we should have some sort of regulation in place for emotional support animals. It doesn't have to be lengthy, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but that way then we protect people like all of us who believe in this and who are using them for the right reasons. If we can get some sort of certification in place, that would be great. Until then, I always say go do a therapy dog training with someone. It doesn't mean you have to go to the schools, it doesn't mean you have to work as a therapy dog, but then you would train your dog, and that would just increase your bonding with your dog. There's tons of books out there on things that you can do, but that might be a way to get around that, because the therapy dogs are still allowed to fly. And it's not long training programs, and then you develop your bond. And in the future, if you want to do those visits, that would be great. And then, I'd love to see someone take up, it'd be amazing to see this program where we help people and their dogs with training for emotional support and get real certification. And then we could get them back on the plane. Sorry, that was a bit wordy, but hopefully that makes sense.
No, I mean, that's
awesome.
actually 100% what this is for. I mean, I love that advice. In fact, if there's any books that you know of that you think would be helpful for people to get, or even us, I would love to know more information how to do that kind of stuff, because that's really good to know, because honestly, I would do that. Why not?
I'm gonna look into that for sure.
Yeah. So I have a deal. There's a couple families that I've written letters for that they can have their dogs an emotional support dog. And the kind of caveat was that if there's regulation, you have to follow the regulation. And then I do ask them to take a therapy dog training program, or even with the American Kennel Society, you can take, it's like, I wrote it down because we call it something different up here. It's Canine Good Citizen test, and it's an easy test that you can do with your pets, and it gives them a certification to say that this dog has all the proper manners, right? And it's not hard things, it's like sitting, staying, coming when called, things like that. So those are nice things you can do with your dogs, and then you develop even more of a bond because you're doing training. And anything, I can send you, there was one book I looked at earlier, I can send it that way, and I don't know if you guys can post it later, but there are a few things you can read on things you can do, because you can do any kind of training you want with your dog, right?
What's the book called?
I think it's Animal Assisted Interventions, but I can't remember the author off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I can do a quick search.
No, maybe Hannah, you could take a look at that and we can put it in the chat for people. That would be awesome. Wait, that's so sick, Tyla. Thank you for that. That's actually really good to know, because obviously this year, we haven't been flying the same way that we normally would have been. And especially for me personally, I haven't been on a flight since March, which is actually insane, because I used to fly every week, and with my dogs. So I would 100% do that for so many reasons. I mean, they like Salem said, I'm not as afraid of flying, but I think for me, the anxiety of what happens when you land, like just the day, like I always find, like, because when I was flying, I would be like the whole time, I'm like, oh my God, when I land, I have this and this and this. And I think that builds up anxiety. Like, that's the stress that I feel like I need to like have a dog to help me unwind from, because when you have your dog with you on your lap and you're petting your dog and you're thinking, okay, my day's gonna be fine, I'm gonna be fine, I'll be fine when I land, that kind of thing, right? So it's just so worth it. It just is.
Maybe this will prompt someone to make an actual training program, and so we can have proper certification. And I wonder too if that was all airlines or if it was just one. Like, was it just one?
Yeah, Hannah, was it? I have to
It was all airlines. It was a preliminary announcement about all airlines.
Oh, that's, yeah. I mean, this is definitely, we need to, at least it starts somewhere, right? We need to go do our thing, at least be able to cover the bases and be able to do that therapy. Like a lesson, right? How many do you have to do? Like just,
Well, I know that there's different training programs, and I think they're different in each of our countries. But like up here, we have St. John's therapy dog training. There are even like PetSmart, I think, has therapy dog training. These guys have an Instagram account and they follow a lot of therapy dogs, and they're always doing training at like PetSmart or there's quite a few. If you go onto the American Kennel Club, there would be a lot of ways to look into doing therapy dog, and they're not long. Like they're 8 weeks of your life kind of thing, and then you and your dog could be trained. You'd train your dog how to help you, but then you'd also be trained to be a team to go into other places, and then you'd actually get the certification. Because my one issue that I have with emotional support dogs is they don't get the recognition. Like they're doing the work, we all recognize how important they are, but right now we don't have something that
this is so cute. Sorry to interrupt, but like the way that your dog is looking at you right now, I have to take a screenshot of this Zoom right now because this is actually the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He's listening to you. So
but
cute.
no, I mean, listen, this is super valuable information. This is again exactly what we do these things for. So I really appreciate that. I'm sure anybody tuning in right now is going to appreciate that as well. So I know Hannah found the book, it seems like. So
I found the book and I found the link and they've been posted to the chat.
Yay.
Nice. Thank you.
Question for you guys. Another thing that I've really found in Salem, you just brought this up too, is it has been sort of crazy with unsocialized dogs during this year though, because I found that like my dog George, she's so sweet and so nurturing and such a good dog, but she's so scared. Like it's for the first time I brought a new dog around her a couple weeks ago, and she was like, she basically tried to attack the dog. And I mean, I don't think that's the stigma I think that's hard with dogs, because again, it's like it's like you have to train that, you really have to do your due diligence. And I think that it's definitely like been an issue this year, because it doesn't mean that they're not sweet or they just don't know, they really don't know better, and they're really trying to protect you, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Whenever another dog is approaching us, he like he's very, very shy and like scared, and you can see that, but stands right in front of me because he's trying to protect me from whatever dog. And it's so cute because I know that he's also terrified. So I'm like, oh no, you don't have to protect you. And then sometimes he like jumps into my arms if a dog is coming. It's very funny. But yeah, we're working on it. It's definitely a work in progress, but hopefully he'll make some friends.
Well, have you found that like your dog during this time, because when did you get Bowie again?
I got him in September. So he's about 5 months old.
Okay, so yeah, he's definitely a
true quarantine dog.
So have you had any incidents like that? Have you had anything where you felt like
his fight or flight instinct is always flight. I've never seen him be aggressive towards another dog. I've seen lots of dogs be aggressive towards him because he looks like a sheep. So like herder dogs often try and herd him. It's very funny. I've taken him to the beach a few times now, especially visiting my family Thanksgiving up by San Francisco. We took him to a beach where they allow dogs to be off leash, and he was off leash for the first time, and it was amazing because he was running wild. But then like you could see the dogs come up and just start chasing him, and he did not know what was happening, so he would just start running and then like eventually jump at me, so I would pick him up. Yeah, but he's just like more scared as opposed to trying to fight anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I find that like with George, for example, we took her, I think, a couple weeks too early from her mom, because I think you're not supposed to take puppies from her mom till like 8 weeks. So we took her at like 5 or 6 weeks. So that's another thing. And it was right before quarantine started, so she really hasn't had the opportunity to completely socialize. But I just find that like sometimes that's hard, because you just know how sweet your dog is, and it's sometimes it is like a kid. It's like, how do you figure out how to really help your kid adjust to their personality types or whatever? But like when people are around them and they think, oh my God, like scary or whatever sort of reaction, it's like, it does hurt. You're like, oh my God, my baby,
Yeah,
like,
you're like, no, my baby's not scary. Like,
I
it's
know,
really
literally,
sweet, I promise.
it's literally, it does feel that way. Because they feel like you have to protect them like your own kid, and you know how good their heart is, I mean,
Yeah.
dogs definitely dogs definitely require a lot of parenting, just the same way a kid would, right? I think that the amount they love, what their temperaments, like, all these things are sort of a reflection on the you, really, in a way, isn't it? I think the main issue with this year and not being able to socialize is I don't know. I mean, have you found that, Tyler, like, with a lot of dogs, that you think that it's been particularly hard to have them sort of live a normal dog life given this circumstance?
It's hard for me to comment on that because I live in a town of less than 5,000 people and we're in the mountains. So
Right.
we've kind of been able to still socialize because we just go outside and play. And so, and we have a pretty good dog park that people are going to. But I would imagine in the cities, it must be like that, or the cities where there's like been that actual lockdown where you're not supposed to leave. I would imagine that that would be really challenging. And I worry about that. I did think about that. So I'm curious, Salem, what you're thinking with Bowie, because I did think about all these brand new dogs that were bought during these quarantine times, which I think is an amazing thing to do. I did worry about that socialization piece, though, that if the dog's only with the family, two things I worry about is, one is like, what are you going to do when you have to leave the dog alone and they're used to being with you all the time? And then also, are they getting that socialization with people and dogs? Because there's such a critical time with dogs that they need to be exposed to sounds and sights and people. And I'm hoping that people are getting really creative on how they're going to do that.
Yeah, definitely. The separation anxiety is very real with Bowie. It's definitely a challenge every day because I think he imprinted on me in the car ride home from the breeder, which is just heartwarming. My boyfriend was driving and I was in the back seat with Bowie, and he's one of the only dogs, one of the only puppies I've ever seen that doesn't get car sick, even a little. He actually loves cars, and he was like on his back, just chilling the whole time. And I was playing with him, he was nibbling my hand. We were having a great time bonding. And then I got to the apartment and we let him out for the first time in the apartment, and he just wouldn't leave my side since then. And he just, like, every time I go to the bathroom, he tries to come with me. It's very funny. But I have noticed every time we leave the house, we leave him in a little pen with his crate and everything. Like, by the time we get to the elevator outside, we hear barking and it just breaks my heart. But
I
yeah,
love
to
that.
try and I know it's so sad. To try and combat that, though, we've been trying to take him, to daycare and make sure he's getting, socialized with other dogs and other people. But people is another thing. He still barks every time someone drops off a package, every time a new person walks in, because it's just not very often, like, he's only really hanging out with me and my boyfriend, and, occasionally seeing people if we go to get coffee outside or something. But yeah, that's definitely going to be an interesting one to navigate.
I know, that's another thing about George too. But it's kind of funny because I feel like she's become the doorbell. Like,
Yeah, really.
and it's actually so funny that, speaking of their senses are, it's just crazy in terms of just like hearing and smelling and all this stuff. It's just like they can tell somebody's gonna be here from down the street. It's actually insane because, like, George will start barking and I'll look outside and no one's there, and then like 1 minute later they'll pull up and you're like, how did you know?
They're so smart. It's crazy.
They
I
really
also think the separation anxiety is mutual. I had to run an errand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to run an errand the other day and I'm leaving and Gigi's just staring at me. I mean, the staring thing drives me crazy, but it's just dagger eyes and watching me leave. And I got in the car, drive about a mile away, and the thoughts in my brain are, did I leave enough food? Did I leave water? I was gone for 35 minutes. And then I'm driving home, minute 34, and I'm like, I miss Gigi. I got to get home with the dog.
But I wonder if part of that too is because what we talked about, like, they're the thing that make us, like, for me, I know these two are the things that make me feel the most safe in the world. So I wonder if, because you have that bond and because things are so all over the place, I wonder if you're leaving and you don't have it. It's like, that's my safety, right? That's that one thing that I can count on in terms of safety.
By
Yeah.
100%. That's such a good point, because like dogs are so selfless and they have no other intention but to love you. So there's always that, because they, they're not going to let you down, and you think, oh, um, everything went wrong today. Like one of those days where like when it rains, it pours, and you're like, the one consistent thing is my dog. Like you want to rush home to see your dog because you know that that will give you so much joy, but also like it's like totally goes both ways, because I think they love it so much. And isn't it a thing that like I've heard this, but I'm not sure it's true, but like dogs can't tell if you've been gone like for like 8 minutes or like 8 hours. Like to them, it's
That's what I've heard too, which makes me really sad.
I know.
So I'm like, damn, every time I leave for a minute, he thinks I'm gone for an hour. Freaking.
Have you seen those videos where people record their animals when they're gone and they're just sitting staring at the door? I'm like,
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, are you serious? Right now, I'm like a part of me that wants to like go to YouTube and screen share when I was like, I want to wait, that is it. That's so crazy. I've never done that, but I've always like wanted to put a camera or something so I could just watch her or watch them both now when I'm gone. Cause I feel like the amount of like, they are so excited to see you when you get back. It's crazy.
Such a good feeling. Nothing beats that, like, excited. Like, I don't think I get greeted like that by anyone in the world.
Ever.
Never.
Right?
Yeah, nothing
So
is better.
funny. I mean, like it's insane the way that dogs were made just to be so loving. I just think, and protective of humans. Like it's actually remarkable. And I love all animals, of course, but dogs specifically are just, because cats are a little bit more to themselves, like I grew up with cats, and I do think cats are still amazing animals and can be a more like great emotional support animals, but there's something about dogs that feels so human.
They need you more.
Huh?
They need you more.
Dogs do. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I think. Sorry to interrupt you there. I think dogs need you more than cats. Cats can live on their own. Dogs can't. We've bred them to be so domesticated that they can't survive on their own.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you're saying that, but no, but if a cat like escaped your house, you think they could survive out just like really?
Yeah, I grew up next to a cat that was primarily an outdoor cat. So every time I'd see him, he was just like outside. But he was our neighbor's cat, and he would go home to be fed occasionally and that. But yeah, he would always just walk in the neighborhood and stuff. Yeah, I think the fact that Bowie is like a very comforting thing. I also have another pet. I have my bearded dragon, little cow. Oops, sorry. But he definitely does not need me as much as Bowie. It's very funny. Bearded dragons are super self-sufficient.
Wait,
So
what's
you
a
really just have to
bearded
feed
dragon?
them. It's a lizard. He's like
Oh
a
yeah, you
nice,
told me about
chubby
that.
little, yeah, he's great. And he's also, an emotional support animal to me in a sense, because he's very calming and he's, super low maintenance. But it's funny because I was always craving that, like, maternal instinct. Like I need to take care of something, and he
Oh,
really doesn't need to be taken care of much. So that was nice.
oh wait, that's a really interesting point, because I definitely think there's like a maternal aspect to it. Just like you want to be able to like take care of it, feed it, dress it. Like there's
Yeah.
I know, it's just
Bowie
like,
doesn't let me do that yet.
oh my God, I know that's the one thing I feel like I only allow them to stay in the clothes for so long, because I'm like, I don't know if you like that this much, or I think I like it more than you like it.
I wonder, is there something that prompted everyone to adopt their dog to start with? Was there a moment where you just had a realization that you needed to own a dog?
Ooh, I like this question. Salem, you take it. You take it away.
Honestly, no, I have just been waiting until I was ready mentally and also financially stable enough. It's very funny because I started dating my boyfriend about 2.5 years ago. And at the beginning of the relationship, I told him, I was like, look, I am the biggest dog person you're ever going to meet. So if this is going to work, we're going to get a dog eventually. That's just how it's going to go. And he was terrified of dogs, actually, and allergic. So he was like, not happy with that in the slightest. And we talked about it. It was like one of the biggest topics of conversation at the beginning of the relationship because, it was so important to me. It's like the question, do you want to have kids or not? For me, it was, do you want to have a dog? And we made a pact that once I made a certain amount of money per year, then I could get a dog, no questions, because his biggest fear was that I was going to get it and then not have the means to take care of it, which is a very me thing to do. I would definitely rush into it and then, be drowning in debt and dog food. So in quarantine, I signed with a label, and my boyfriend was at the studio when I got their initial proposal over email. The way I told him about it was I called him and I was like, "Hey, babe, we're getting a dog."
Oh,
And
I
he was
love
like,
that.
"Oh boy." So that was kind of the moment where we started, researching breeders in the area, planning it out, and like taking it really seriously.
Oh my God, I love that story. That's so cute, babe. We're getting a dog.
Thanks. It's very
Oh
funny.
my God, that's amazing. What about you, Tyla?
Well, I grew up in a cat family and I love cats, but I always wanted a dog. Like all my friends who had dogs, I always wanted to spend time with them. And
Yeah.
my husband, who, when he was my boyfriend, the poor guy, every time we saw a dog, I'd be like, I want a dog, I want a dog, I want a dog, I want a dog. So he actually, the first dog that I ever owned was actually my engagement ring, because I never really wanted an engagement ring. So I got an engagement dog instead of an engagement ring.
That's
Yeah, which I
incredible.
highly recommend, except the only thing about dogs is they don't live forever. So I don't have my engagement ring anymore, but his collar is hanging by the door still. So, yeah, so I knew I always wanted one, but I really appreciate what you're saying, Salem, about like knowing that, I mean, dogs cost money for food and vet bills and all those kinds of things. So I really appreciate your stance there on like, hey, we need to make sure we're responsible enough to do that. So the first one was an engagement dog. The second one we got from a breeder who breeds dogs to work in therapy dogs, and then this guy's a rescue. So it's kind of all, there's so many different ways to get dogs, right? And yeah. So.
Well, what do they say? I mean, it's the same thing about love. They're like, you never find the one person you love when you're looking. I feel like the same thing goes for a dog, because like obviously for dog people like us, I feel like we would want all of us would just want every dog, because if we could, I feel like if I wasn't doing music, I would want to have a dog rescue. Like me and my fiance always talk about that. We're like, fully at one point when we retire music, let's just have a dog farm and just rescue like 20 dogs. But no, I mean, I definitely think I have like, my story is kind of funny because I had cats growing up as well, but I wanted a dog for so long. My fiance loves dogs, but we're so busy. We travel so much. And obviously the emotional support animal was amazing for when we eventually got them. But, I think before you have a dog, you don't really know how it works, like how hard it is. I mean, still now on the plane, people will always be like, oh my God, I can't believe you can bring your animal. How does that work? Is it hard? Like all these things that you described today, which is actually super helpful for people. Because I just think unless you are used to doing it or research or know what you're doing, I think people don't really know how it's possible. So anyway, those were the things that we were thinking. And then there was a studio that I was working at often actually in LA, in Studio City, and a friend of mine, Kaisa, she was there with me one day, or so we both worked at that studio often. And like one day she went to the rescue that was next to the studio, and she saw Larry, and she was like, this dog is yours. She was texting me. She's like, oh my God, you have to come over here. Like, this dog is your dog. I'm telling you, like the energy, like everything, like I've never felt anything more. Like she was just like, I can tell this dog's yours. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. Da, da, da. And she was like, no, you're getting this dog. Like, you're getting this dog. And she's like, there's 3 other people that want it. I'm going to like put a down payment just so you can have it. And then my fiance was like, no, we can't have a dog. I really want one, but we just don't have time. It's not fair to the dog. And Kaiser was like, no, you're getting this dog. And so she literally put the money down. She's like, my friend's coming tomorrow to pick it up. And so I was like, she's like, just come and meet the dog. So I went, and of course I was like, love at first sight. And I got Larry.
That's incredible.
And so and it was funny because when we brought her home and my fiance met her, it was just like they fell in love too instantly, and it was just like this amazing love affair between us. And then actually, funny enough, so we kept in touch with her sister, Larry's sister, who over Instagram, because we of course we all have Instagrams. I'll put that in the chat. But Larry's sister Hachi, the parents that rescued Hachi, we just, like I said, kept in touch. And last year they hit me up and they're like, guess what? Hachi's pregnant. So that's where George came from. So Larry is George's aunt. So talk about like dogs finding you, because we weren't even thinking about getting a second dog necessarily, besides the fact of just wanting a bunch of dogs, but just realistically. And then, you know, it just was like, how could we not do this? They're family. Like, this is a no brainer. Like, we have to get this dog. And it's just been life-saving. It's so nice for them to have like a family, you know. For them, it's, I think, nice to have, just like it's nice for kids to have siblings and stuff. It's like, they love to be in a pack, right? I mean, we're their pack now. It's like, you know, where Larry goes, George goes.
Two is good. So Salem, Bowie might need a buddy, because two is better than one.
Yeah,
no. Believe me, I have like dog fever. I would like to get another one, you know, next week. My boyfriend's like, maybe let's just stick with the one right now. I will say he started out as not a dog person, terrified of dogs, but they are inseparable. It's so funny. Like, watching them interact just warms my heart, because, you know, he's fully in love with Bowie. I feel like everyone is an animal person. Some people just need to spend a little bit more time with animals to realize it. But truly, I don't think anyone could ever not be an animal person, like really in their core.
I know.
They're not. I don't trust people who are.
Nope. Exactly. I was about to say that. I was like, if you're not an animal person or you don't like animals, I'm like, don't like you. Please never.
It's really like, it's a compatibility thing. Like, you have to be down with animals.
That's how I screen in the dating world. If someone does not like dogs, no chance.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, what kind of person doesn't like dogs? Like, seriously, right?
They just haven't been exposed enough, in my opinion. Everyone likes dogs, you know? It's like the Beatles. Everyone likes the Beatles. Everyone likes dogs. It's just like that one thing that's undeniable.
Hannah, how did you meet? Actually, yeah, that's a cute question.
How did you meet Gigi?
How did you meet Gigi? This earring keeps falling out.
So Gigi was unintentional. Oh my
God, I love it. It was an accident.
It was an accident. Essentially, I was living in New York at the time. Again, this is, I guess, 9.5 years ago now. And I was going through a really tough time in my life. I was having a bit of an identity crisis at a very interesting age. And I was so in my own head. And one night I was just so sick of thinking about myself all the time. And I made a very conscious decision. I've volunteered for dog rescues for about 15 years now. And I said, you know what, I'm going to foster a dog. I need to think about something that's beyond me. Aww. So that night I went on, I applied. I ended up getting an email that a shipment of 8 Chihuahuas abandoned in a box in Tennessee were being taken to New York. I could go to Midtown at 6 a.m. the next morning and pick up my foster dog. I picked the one that I would never keep. And she's here right now, and her name is Gigi. But it took about 4 months of fostering her, because she must have been abused. She was not okay. I was nurturing her, taking care of her, and I was actively trying to find her a family for 4 months. And then one day, again, it was an eye contact thing. This dog had my back. Like, this was my best friend. To this day, when people ask about Gigi, I'm like, you mean my best friend?
Aww.
That's our romance.
Oh my God, that's so cute. See, this is why people need emotional support animals, because they are, it's like you said, it's mutual. They're our emotional support and we're their emotional support. And I think that's so sweet. And like the companionship you have with the dog. Like, my fiance can't even watch like the dog movies that they die at the end. He hates them because he just is like, he'll watch like a human one, but like just cannot watch a dog suffer, which is so true. I mean, I agree. I mean, Marley and Me is like,
nope.
That movie. I mean, listen, that movie is so heartwarming because it's Marley and Me, right? Isn't it called Marley? Yeah. I was like, I'm saying the title right, but that movie, just like the bond that they have with the dog though, and how it's like so rambunctious, and that's a prime example where the dog, Marley did everything wrong, but they're like, we love this dog, we don't care, this is our best friend, like, but that's how it is, you know what I mean? It's like, you have a bad kid, it keeps on getting suspended, the teachers hate it, and you're like, I love my kid, it doesn't matter what my kid does, I just love my kid. But anyway, this is This is so fun. I love doing this with you guys. This is so sweet. I love that we were able to do this today. I'm also going to post this, obviously, I think probably in the next couple weeks. So, Tyla, if there's any other information you want to send me after that I can include when I post the episode, let me know. But yeah, this is so fun. Thank you so much, you guys.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to try it out and to meet all of you guys.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. And again, for anybody listening or watching, always we put, I mean, I don't know if Hannah, you put it, oh, you did. We have a link in the chat. And if you want to, feel inclined to donate anything, that would be amazing, because all the donations go back to mental health with the Jed Foundation. So that's always really amazing. And obviously it's Christmas time. So, we should be in the giving spirit. So I'd love any sort of donation possible. And yeah, so any big holiday plans, you guys, before we go?
Not really. I'm just kidding. I'm going to San Francisco.
Oh my God. Oh, you're going to San Francisco though?
Yeah, I think we're driving up, which will be fun. I'm going to try and take both animals. So Lil Cow and Bowie. Lil Cow is definitely the harder one to travel with though, because his tank is like bigger than the backseat of my car. So I'm going to have to ship a tank to my family and then bring him in like a smaller tank on the car ride over. It'll be a process, but yeah.
That's
how about you guys?
Wait, Salem, can you take, it's a boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you take him on a plane?
That's a great question. I'm actually not sure. I hope so, because I would love to travel with him and I would never trust him anywhere except for, at my feet or in my hands on a plane. I would never put him in cargo. So I'll look into that.
Yeah, you should. Oh my God, if you do, I want to come with you. I want to see what people's reaction.
That'd be awesome. He does have a leash and stuff. He has a little leash and accessories. He has clothes. Actually, he likes getting dressed up more than Bowie does.
Oh my God, I wish you could have brought him to the episode. Okay, well,
I know. I think he's asleep right now.
Well, you'll send us a picture. You'll send pictures. Maybe we can add that when we post the episode.
Yeah.
Great.
What are you guys doing for the holidays?
Honestly, I hope to be doing nothing. Like literally, I cannot tell you how much I just want to watch stupid holiday movies on Netflix. That is literally my plans. I am dreaming about it for the next 2 weeks. I'm like, I cannot wait just to sit around, sleep in, have the fireplace, listen to Christmas music, the cheesiest person ever, and cuddle my dogs, cuddle my animals. What about you, Tyla?
We're actually staying home for the first time this year. Where we live in BC, we actually have like an essential travel only order. So, but we live in a little mountain town that's like a winter wonderland. So we're just gonna ski and play and snowshoe and have some time at home. So it's gonna be great. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous, because normally I go to Banff every year, which is like seriously like the most dreamy place on, so I'm trying, guys. This is embarrassing, but I want to make like a Wonderland in my backyard. Just decorate all the lights and stuff. I'm just like a Christmassy person. I love it. What about you, Hannah? You're gonna be on the East Coast.
We'll see with COVID, but it will definitely be Gigi and me. No matter where we are, it's Gigi and me.
Oh my God, so you might not come anymore.
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, I was looking forward to seeing Hannah. But okay, well, I won't take any more of your guys' time, but thank you so much. I love this. This is so awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And
this was amazing.
And I'll let you guys know when we're gonna post it. Like I said, it will probably be right before we all take our break, so around like the 18th or something. So I'll send it over to you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Nice to meet you guys. Should
we put our dogs for the final?
Mine is at the table.
Of this.
Okay, he's not coming up. I'm sorry.
Wait, try. He won't.
Bowie. No, yeah, he's pretty out under the table right now.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, look at this. My dogs are about to get in a fight. Okay, before that happens.
Nice meeting all of you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.